down. However you want to cut it, as long as you know how to swing it. When they tell you to put on the whole armor of God, it ain't talking about physical armor. It's talking about your spiritual discernment tools that you need in order to decipher the artificial reality that you living in. Cause you, like a fish, you don't even see the air that you breathing, but you know you need it to breathe, and it's saturated with consciousness. And then if you break the air down, you'll find it's about 60% water. And when you figure that out, you figure that consciousness comes through you, because water is the physical symbol for spirit, right? So let me get the chief. It's always one of us that haven't done no research that come on telling us, oh, you just don't want to be black. You denying your African heritage. Bullshit. Bullshit. I posted a couple days ago. All of the West African oral traditions say they came from the land west of the Great Waters. They call it the Ethiopian Sea before it was the Atlantic Ocean. But we don't know nothing about that because we misunderstood Marcus Garvey when he was talking about this confraternity. He was telling us that we need to communicate with them people in Africa, because the ones that's about what's right gonna tell you, nigga, you ain't from over here, you from over there. Y'all sent us over here. We got exiled from the Americas probably about 20,000 BC. And they've been there that long. But we don't want to talk about that because most of us want to follow Western education or miseducation down the path of self-annihilation under the pretense of patriotism. I'm not a patriot. I'm a matriot. I honor the matriarchy. There's nothing no man can do for me. I can't do nothing for no man. We ain't gonna never get along in no intimate setting because we not wired that way. I like women. They can put up as many cross-dressers in Hollywood on the screen and tell you this is a bad bitch. I don't care. I don't want no cross-dressing bitch. I don't want no sissies. And it ain't homophobia. It's not an attack against homosexuality. I don't care what they do with their life. Them people got to live their life, not me. Right? So, share. Don't forget to share the video when y'all come in. Now, when you start piecing together, as Pleasant say, when you start exhuming a nation is a misnomer. A nation and nationality are misnomers. They are subtle flips to turn you from a citizen slave to a national slave. I'm going to let that settle for a minute while I relight this blunt. They trying to get you to go from a citizen slave to a national slave, but you still a slave. Autonomy. We don't even know what that shit is. Because ain't nobody never taught autonomy and self-realization. What's the other word? It's autonomy, self-determination. They now teach that to us. We had to be wired a little different to start investigating. Freedom is autonomy. Your ability to roam to and fro on your territory without a police asking you for no slave papers called a driver's license, a passport, a state ID, or any other slave document. You don't need no paperwork to traverse any land unless you in a police state. If you go back to Johannesburg in South Africa, you seen the same thing. They was over there telling them people don't leave your area without your papers. What papers? The South Africans been in South Africa for thousands of years, and now they need papers? Who came up with that idea? It's the same thing they did to us. This is why you have to get, you have to understand the concept of the confraternity. So Ibrahim Traore, right? That's my champion on the motherland. He got this. But this nigga sitting up there in front of Congress, talk about he stopped the gold to use it for his own purpose. That nigga, I don't know where that kind of nigga come from. He don't even need to be, look, court-martial me. Kick me out the military. I'm not participating in nobody's coup d'etat of a righteous man feeding his people. But we don't want to talk about that because we want everything to be easy and we want somebody else to do our work for us. Can't nobody do your part. You the only person wired in this system to do your part. When you don't do your part, life gonna whoop your ass from pillar to post. You the only one with the unique skill set that you have. That nature put you on the path to learn all of the stuff you know. So you can live your life purposefully and not haphazardly. And the side effect of avoiding it, running from it, trying to duck it and hide it is ass whooping time. Spiritual ass whooping ain't got nothing on one of these cats in the streets whooping your ass all up and down the strip. A spiritual ass whooping is the worst ass whooping you're going to ever get in your life. I know because I tried to run from this shit and got whooped into a new reality and a new timeline. I don't want no more of that shit. So here I am on social media, which I hate with a passion, giving away free game. All this shit been paid for. I got books all over the place. This is paid for already. I done read them. Because this information has to be given back to the people, and somebody got to make it plain enough for a baby to understand it. I was told by Elijah, make it plain enough for a baby to understand it. And I was told by Malachi, right knowledge brings right understanding. Right understanding inspires right overstanding. And right overstanding gets you to see the perspective from the God's eye view. If you don't understand that, then you ain't got right knowledge. The Buddha left the eightfold path of righteousness. But we don't want to talk about that because we've been told that Buddhism is a religion. We don't know it's a system of liberation. You first have to liberate the mind. What did En Vogue say? Free your mind and your ass will follow. But we act like we don't understand. We just a good song to dance to. Free your mind. Yeah, it's a good dance song, but listen to what they saying. Listen to Phyllis Hyman when she say, I'm going to make changes, going to make minds aware. The power is in the massive. Collectively, they believe in me. Come on now, they telling you the game. They giving you the keys. Stop running from yourself and stand up on your own 2 feet and follow your path. Don't follow Rod Hayes' path. Follow your path. Everybody got a role to play in the part. And the good thing about it is when you get done doing your part, if everybody ain't caught up, you're going to feel like you ain't doing nothing. Because your shit done. You ain't got nothing else to do. But if you don't do your part, you're going to get these spiritual ass whoopings that's going to be like a domino effect of kick you in the ass. So, the jurisdiction is the power of rulership over us. What we're striving for is something called jurisdictional supremacy. We have what's called territorial jurisdiction of the first right based off the legal doctrine First in time is first in line. They can't come take our jurisdiction without us surrendering it. But if it's not enough of us to understand that the jurisdiction of the territory belongs to the organic original referred to in the Indigenous Rights Act of the United Nations and the American Indigenous Rights Act as the indigenous people of the land. They tell you in there you have a right to self-govern. Can't nobody give you a right. You have to exercise a right in order for it to be actionable. They can take your rights from you if you let them. But when you standing in your position of proper persona, sui juris, right, de jure original, that's all Latin shit that they brought over here with them to confuse us about saying what Big Mama always say. We don't follow no law but the great law. We honor no leadership but the matriarchy. Period. That's it. That's it. And when Sipico put the Pope on notice, he responded. He responded. Why did he respond? Because it was a series of tribes doing their part to exercise jurisdiction, territorial jurisdiction over the de facto corporation. We staked the totem pole in D.C. because we had to claim that embassy territory of the city-state of Washington, D.C. back from the corporation. That was done in 2017. Then somebody had to call once with the blood and the right. I got the blood and the right. I'm organic Mississippi red clay dirt walking the land. And I'm telling y'all, from the tribal ranking system, I have the right by blood and the knowledge to cancel all contracts for fraud and non-performance. It's in their law that fraud vitiates all contract. No contract established on fraud shall stand as a true contract in law or commerce. It's a non-enforceable doctrine. Once you understand that they use an admiralty jurisdiction to overwrite or undermine the land and the people of the land, we don't honor admiralty jurisdiction. That's not our system of law. Matriarchal jurisdiction, caretakers of the land, first in time, first in line, to the whole of the Americas and the rest of the world for that matter, because we have a confraternity of other people similarly situated all over earth that's fighting the same fight on their land, that they have the blood and the right to dispute the contracts of the corporations that's masquerading as our governments. They masquerading as our peacekeepers, but all the time they oppressive regimes of foreign agencies sent to spread the white man's burden of civilizing the heathens and converting them to the power of the papacy and not the church. The church is just a building, right? So the power of the church rests in the papacy. I don't give a fuck if it's Protestant church. All of their 501c3 standards is based on Vatican approval of their ministerial duties. That means if they Baptist, Pentecostal, Presbyterian, Lutheran, Islamic, Hebrew, Jewish, Israelite, any religious organization that follow the doctrine of the three monotheistic religions are all under the jurisdiction of the Pope. The Pope is the highest ranked imam in Islam, and the Muslims don't even know it. That's the sad part. The Pope was the highest ranked Kohen, which is priest, in the Judaic orders, right? Drawing his power to govern over the Hebrew Israelites from the Talmud and the Mishnah, not the Torah. They don't even use, that's the shit they use to indoctrinate the people they call Goy. The Goyim. The chattel human. The angry sheep. that defend the doctrine of the oppressor. Every time you turn around, it's one of these diet woke ass niggas. A Dr. Umar Johnson, unapologetically African ass, but he don't want to move to Africa. He don't want to go to Africa and help Ibrahim Traore, because Ibrahim Traore would see through his little kind game and lock his ass the fuck up because he ain't about what's right. I tried to get a brother the chance. I'm done with him. He didn't went too far. He started calling the indigenous people of the land his African brothers. Africa wasn't even named Africa when the motherfuckers came over here. How the fuck did we get to be Africans? I would have rather you call me an Ethiopian. Ether Utopia. The prime ether. The prima mater. The seed of the great mother. But no, you want to call us African, the divided land, Ifraki, that was done in the Berlin Conference. But we ain't supposed to know that because your scholars told you was traded as cattle and chattel across the seas that don't even make sense. All you got to do is get the video from some of these naval vessels that be crossing the Atlantic and tell me how your shanty ship gonna handle that shit made out of some goddamn pine tar and goddamn sticks. They have 5,000-year-old boat from China, a 7,000-year-old ship, still fully intact in Egypt, in the pyramid, by the way. These motherfuckers been took out and put on display for the world to see, the oldest ships. But they don't have one intact slave ship where they can show you where this gas chamber was that these niggas vomiting and shitting and pissing in the hull of the ship, turning it into a gas chamber with methane gas. And don't even mention the sisters on their menses, because it's a 90-day trip, so they're going to have at least 2-3 periods if they make it that long. That don't make no damn sense. It defies logic and it defies common sense. Right? So, we are in a position now where they finna give it all back. They finna give it all back. We're going to discuss more of this topic tomorrow on the Young Elder Show. But remember, all of this shit was supposed to be temporary. The United States Corporation contract, written in the blood of Crispus Attucks as a constitution, was a 250-year contract. As defined, it was a 200-year contract. They got the extension because we broke the contract in 1812 and took them motherfuckers back to bloody warfare. And we were supposed to be educating ourselves above the conditions. Right? But 1812, we had enough of their games and they murdering other leaders, cheating in the game that they said they was playing by the rules, but they never followed the rules. They broke every goddamn rule and they still breaking the rules. And the only time the rules apply is when they got one of our black asses in their grips. Then the rules apply. But when they doing it, when they trafficking over 800,000 children out of America every year, it don't apply to them niggas. When they sitting here having freak off parties and conning entertainers into giving up their chastity and their manhood and their womanhood for a contract in order to have a better life, that's a violation of the rules. They use fraud because they know fraud vitiates our contract, but if nobody never identified a fraud, you can't never change the condition. You can't never expose what they doing to cripple us because you don't know the sorcery part. Because anybody that decide to go into the dark arts to see if it's being worked on you, you got to study that shit or you not gonna know. But they told you that's the devil's information and you ain't supposed to touch it. The devil mean enemy. So if they tell you it's the devil's information, that's your enemy's information, and you need to know what your enemy teach in order to know how to defend yourself from his dogmatic doctrines. his usurping nature, his undermining totalitarian mentality, his Iceman inheritance, his psychopathic racial personality, and they ain't even paleface. Them niggas hate theyself for being this color more than we hate the motherfuckers that we thought was the problem and we was being lied to the whole time. I couldn't understand why them old pale faces used to tell me, why you mad at us? It was your own people that did it to you. What the fuck is y'all talking about? Now I know. They look like us, they not us. All of the other people that participate in this racial caste system, they doing it because they don't want to get mixed up in the dirty Moors and the righteous Moors fighting it out in the hood. So they want to get far away from it and ostracize us as much as possible to minimize their inclusion in the goddamn conflict. But they don't know is they chose the wrong side. They chose the side of the colonizer to be their hero. That's where the problem came in. We had contracts that's ancient with Chinese, Japanese, with Mongolians, with Huns. We got ancient that we still use Lee in the middle name, the old Mississippians do, because we honoring the contract that showed us that we had blood ties to the tribes that came and asked permission the right way, the ones that came across the Bering Straits. They came and asked for permission to settle the land, and Big Mama said, come on, baby, you know we feed everybody. But when these rotten motherfuckers sailed over here, what did Columbus write in his diary? How loving we are, how kind we are, how we have no need for anything, because anything we have, we'll give it to somebody that need it. Oh yeah, these niggas gonna be easy to conquer. The jig is up. Y'all lost, nigga. Spain submitted. They tapped out. 428. They tapped out. They lost. They got crushed. They got put in their place. They done. They blackout. That's the signal. When they lost, they got the blackout. It's the same as getting the knockout in the boxing ring. When the motherfucking eyes close, you don't see no goddamn lights over your head. You too busy in the laid back with your foot rising up off the mat. Unless you jump up and do some jab judo and say, did you play with matches? I know people commenting, but the only thing that's coming up, believe it or not, is who's coming on the video. I'm not seeing damn comment that y'all commenting. And it ain't no way, long as I've been doing this, that 213 people is in here and there's no comments. That's crazy. So I don't know, they might have the comments turned off. Let me look and see. How would I know? They want me to take a poll. I don't know, but I'm not getting no comments. But anyway, shout out to Lazarus Lamel with the Messiah Code. Yeah, here goes some history that y'all know. The first person that opened the door for me was Crumb. The first person to interview me was Lazarus Lamel from the Messiah Code. Look, when I tell y'all that gematria and numerology need each other, go check out the Messiah Code, Lazarus Lamel. He that's my guy. He the real deal. He know how to read, and he one of them come out that school of right knowledge. Right? So just so y'all know, because it's a lot of people instrumental in us becoming aware of what's going on in the takeover. Y'all watching the takeover, it just not happening as fast as y'all want it to, because it ain't bloody warfare. It ain't shocking all bombs being dropped. It's systematic. Shut this part down. Shut that part down. We don't need that bullshit. Stop them from giving our money to them niggas and them niggas and them niggas. They don't need our money. Tell them to get their own money. Look, they've been siphoning money out of our big mama's bank by not letting us access it, using it on our behalf to do business and keep other countries across Europe and around the world afloat. Look at the map of U.S. military bases around the world. They got bases in places they shouldn't even be. Let that sink in. The United States got military bases in places they shouldn't even be. I said they because I'm not part of that shit that they doing. I don't agree with that shit that they doing. I don't support the assassination of heads of state because they won't play by the rules that you made when you came over and ran that same shit on these chiefs. It's a new sheriff in town. I'm not falling for the okie doke. All I know is notice to agent is notice to principal. Tribal responsibility is to put it in the public domain. The public domain is recognized in law as a timestamp archivable format. All social media platforms are admissible as public domain information because the reach extends beyond 1,000 people. So notice the agent being notice to principal. That means notice to principal is also notice to agent. All these motherfuckers is on notice. They all on borrowed time. We watching this shit fold in front of their face, not like they did us, behind our back in front of our face. They did everything in secret to control us in the public. We doing everything in the public to destroy their secrets. Let that sink in. They do everything in the secret to control us in the public. We doing everything in the public to expose their secrets. Ain't no more secret squirrel shit. Adam Ant is on the job, and ain't no more secret squirrel shit. You can call him underdog if you want to, but hate it or love it, the underdog on top. And we gonna shine, baby, until this U.S. corporation drop. Go ahead, envy me. I'm Raps PBG, Platinum Back Gorilla in this motherfucker. Telling y'all, look, the worst thing you can do is be an independent thinker. A person that understands how to follow the spiritual path you came here to follow. A lot of people don't know how to follow the path because they become indoctrinated with the three-dimensional artificial constructs. And they are all created to keep you from ever coming to the realization of who you are and what you're capable of doing. I just wanted to see if I could put a comment in there because I ain't seen a comment yet. So, if anybody got any questions, how long I've been on here? 45 minutes. So, anybody got any questions, send me a request, and I'm going to start pulling people up. I'm going to take about 15 minutes of, I know it's going to go longer than 15 minutes. Okay, so we coming up on 50 minutes. So, I'm going to do about 30 minutes of Q&A if y'all can even come in. Let's see, Christina, where my baby at? Christina, where is Mary? I don't know if it's gonna add you in. I don't know if it's gonna let me add anybody or not. I could be shadow banned, but I know I wanted to see Christina anyway. So see how Mary and the boys and the rest of them doing. They letting you in, Christina? Don't look like it. What's say adding? Say adding. They might let her in. This Christina Vargas, the Gold Eye Oracle. Y'all don't even know about that. The Gold Eye Oracle see shit before it happened. They can see down the timeline and they get glimpses. I seen her eyes turn gold, and I was like, "You one of them." Yeah, I don't know. It say adding, and it ain't letting her in though. Okay, it says she didn't answer, but I know that ain't what happened. I'm gonna see. Hey, Lazarus, Lemire, you wanna come up? Where you go? It's not. Oh, this is crazy. The teacher him, well, we try to invite you on camera just to see if they're gonna let you up. Anyway, so I'm gonna make a post about jurisdiction, and I already copied everything that I wanted to share in jurisdiction, but it's on this phone. But I'm gonna share it. It's gonna be on my Instagram and on my Facebook. If you want to understand a little bit about jurisdiction, because it's way more exhaustive than that, that's just uh, the foundation for the research. Yeah, so it didn't let her up either. So it ain't they're not letting me put nobody on camera. So I might go out, come back in, and try to see if they let me invite people. But I've been shadow banned so long on Instagram. I can't do lives over there on Instagram, and so I got to do them over here. And they don't show up on Instagram when I do them over here. But my Instagram lives used to have the option to come over here, but my Facebook live don't have the option to share to Instagram, right? So I ain't gonna hold y'all, but remember, the tribes have territorial jurisdiction grandfathered in before 1492. And the grandfather clause allows us to activate the grandmother clause. The grandmother clause, according to the tribes, is the right for the tribal mothers to allocate who belong where on the land. By trial and error, they send them to different places. Now, because the corporation just forced people together, you have all of this divide and conquer stuff going on. You have the racism, the sexism, the gender confusion, the cross dressing. All of it is literally being done on purpose as tools of divide and conquer. When you take an infant baby that's being born, you can teach that baby to be anything. You could teach that baby to be anything, and they can be good at it because they've been taught from birth. Or if you teach a boy child from birth that he a girl, he's gonna behave feminine. And some of them, when they hit puberty, their testosterone, if they ain't been molested, gonna make them say, "Hey, wait a minute, I don't like no dudes like that." But some of them, especially the real lover boy babies, them the ones that is easiest to trick into thinking that they are in the wrong body and all that bullshit. But you shouldn't be talking to children about sexual identity until they start asking the questions. Unless you see them doing something that leads you to believe somebody touching on them, none of this gender sex shit should even come up before they start getting close to a teen, 8, 9, 10 years old. Because before that, all the boy want to do is go climb a tree. How my father say, piss up a tree, sit down a stump. That's it. He want to be a boy. He want to run, and run all that energy off until he learn how to control it. But no, they rather dope him up. Tell you they got ADHD. They can't control themselves. They out of control. They fucking boys. They supposed to be out of control, but they not supposed to be trapped in your Skinner box. They not supposed to have to wait for your Pavlovian response bell to go off to tell them what move to make next. But you put them in these environments that's antithesis to their nature, and then you wonder why they not acting like their nature. They are being, you raising a lion with dogs. You raising eagles with chickens. And when the eagles start doing eagle shit, then you shoot that motherfucker down so he don't remind the other eagles they're eagles. That's called COINTELPRO. That's called Rex 84, Readiness Exercise 1984, aka the Lord Alfred Plan. Right? All that shit there. But if you don't know what they doing, they just gonna keep playing in your face. So I've been telling y'all for 5 years, every step of the way, what they've been doing. Now they come out and tell y'all about the fraud in the poison in the Jabberwocky. I took control over us than they ever had. In the 50s and the 60s, they didn't have this kind of stronghold on our psyche. They had the don't go across the tracks stronghold, but they ain't had I'm an African stronghold and I'm gonna do what Master say. They didn't have that stronghold. Niggas stopped being rebellious after the civil rights nonviolent protests. They should have kept that shit Malcolm X, but we had to educate ourselves about the condition. That's why Elijah didn't allow the FOI to take these motherfuckers to bloody warfare. But we don't know this though. Collectively, we don't know this, but it's instrumental to know because then you understand your ancestors never laid down and kissed nobody ass. Well, most of y'all ancestors didn't. Some of y'all ancestors was showing up some bootlicking ass kickers, some Jayhawks. I just try to tell it the way it is. All our ancestors wasn't the top of the food chain, and the ones that cooperated, I don't even know what to say about them. Shit. So, catch me tomorrow on the Young Elder channel, and y'all gotta understand, we've been here so long, we built here. It wasn't no here till we built it. We was Atlantis. The Great Atlant is what it was really called. Atlantis is the Greek rendition of the Great Atlant. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth tell you that he left from over here and went over there in a ship that flew, not floated. So ain't none of this stuff new. Vimana Sutras show you that there was flying crafts all the time on Earth. That ain't new. They just got rid of the blimps in order to make room for modern aeronautics. Modern aeronautics is based off ancient principles of aviation. That's how they knew how to do it. They told us they discovered King Tut's tomb over there in Egypt. There's only one problem with that. He was buried in the Grand Canyon. He was buried in the Grand Canyon. He wasn't buried in what you call Kemet, Egypt over there. He wasn't buried over there. He wasn't in the Valley of the Kings. He was buried in Arizona. And you don't believe me when Tupac come back asking where they bury you at last time. I was buried in Arizona. Go back to the interview. T. Rogers is telling you that he told him he was going out on his own land. He wasn't going out on no foreign land. Everything west of the Rocky Mountains, Tupac Amaru. Everything between the Appalachians and the Rocky Mountains. Chiefs called me to settle that shit. Louisiana Purchase shit. Louisiana Purchase was the first. It had nothing to do with the right to colonize. The agreement, the Louisiana Purchase, was a protectorate agreement. That means that if we don't put together our own Mississippian military back together, they were supposed to protect us from the from the Spanish and the English. What they do? They literally sold us to the English. Literally. Under the pretense of selling the Port of New Orleans and the protectorate rights of the Louisiana territory that spanned from the Gulf of America all the way into what they call Canada today. This is why Trump talking about recovering Canada. We don't know history because they taught us a semblance of history, right? So we didn't know that the Louisiana Purchase also included Canada. What languages do they speak in Canada? They only speak two, English and French. Other than the tribes, you got tribes up there, Inuits in Alaska. You got Inuit tribal mixes throughout the Canadian territories that speak their tribal tongue. But Western tongues, they only got two main Western tongues. Well, they got a lot of Spanish people starting to import there. So now you got three primary major tongues. This is the Louisiana territory. Canada was part of the Louisiana Purchase, the protectorate of Canada. Canada don't got no army. If somebody come and fuck the Canadians up right now, the only thing gonna stop them is the lower 50 gonna roll out on their ass, and they already know it. They don't need no army. All they got is some goddamn mounted police riding around with some batons like they in England. Now they started to arm them in the last 50 years or so, but they used to didn't even have the right to. They couldn't carry guns. Only the hostile territory. Hostile territories is the continental states, or the 48 states. In Alaska, in Hawaii, they annexed Hawaii. They didn't even ask them people. That's fraud. You can't impose your jurisdiction and take away somebody else's tribal jurisdictional rights. And don't expect for us to figure out what you did. Once we figure it out, it's about putting it in the public domain, coming up with a comprehensive description for enough members of enough tribes to know one of these chiefs got it right, and this is what we need to be paying attention to. These is the receipts, right? I can tell the story or I can teach the class. When the chief with the chief, I'm just telling the story. But I do got the receipts. I can show you everything I'm talking about. And most of us are blind to the fact that we are occupied territory of a foreign body politic masquerading as our corporate government. The corporation is a subsidiary of the Crown of England, not the tribes. You got to understand how jurisdiction works, territorial rights. We have territorial rights, right? We got a right to change any kind of governing system on the land that's no longer compatible with the nature of the tribes. We can change that shit. We don't gotta ask permission. We just gotta come to a consensus among ourselves that enough is a goddamn enough. But it's too many of us with our nose in the air, and we too entitled to do some stuff called strategic thinking, right? Understanding the military invasion that was imposed upon us and how we end up subjugated by the invader and what we must do in order to overcome the invasion. If we don't put this stuff together, then we're gonna be left out in the dark because it take all of us, it take all the tribes to be aware. And then every tribe gotta organize within their own tribe. What do we do with this information now that we got it? Now that we know that everything in DC has been a 100% fraud, what do we do? Each tribe's responsibility is to discuss among themselves what they do, pick their champion, and all of the champions of all of the tribes gonna stand in solidarity, and we gonna have a tribal convention to resume matriarchal order and the great law. That's it. We don't gotta do nothing else. First, we gotta come to the agreement among ourselves that the information is available. The babies got it now. They go put this shit together because Rod Hayes telling them how all of it go. And when they put it together, when we get our old ass out their way, because we done had our day in the sun, it's their turn now. It's their turn to organize and raise hell. It's not our turn now. We missed our turn. We was too busy hanging out on street corners wearing fat gold ropes, bumping booming systems. When our turn was here, we was too busy trying to get the bag when it was our time. The bag don't get the land. The bag can get a piece of land. But to get the totality of the land, we had to follow the oral tradition of the tribes. They created the paperwork. So if we write, they have to surrender the foundational document of which the fraud has exposed. The what they call a loyal title coming out of Europe was in the hands of the Rothschilds. They surrendered it already. I don't care if it ain't written right. I don't care if the T's and the I's ain't dotted. It's still their foundational document that they surrendered. When the Pope was ordered to rescind the discovery doctrine, he did some shit to to tell you that he don't support that bullshit no more and that the tribes need to govern their own self. When SikApe put him on notice, she told everybody, the chiefs across the land has been selected. Govern yourselves accordingly. The chiefs across the land have been selected. Govern yourselves accordingly. It's not just me. You looking at social media and you seeing other organic original people in their field of understanding. I done named them 1,000 times and I can name them 1,000 more. The ones that's behind the scenes that had to be took out the forefront because they was cheating in the game. The ones that's out in the forefront right now that you think that they just talking, they just babbling. Then you got the fraudsters in the conscious community. I can tell you all them some bitches is too. All of this stuff. So if they got you to believe you from somewhere else, you will not assert verbally out your mouth in the public domain, I'm exercising my tribal right to reclaim my ancestral lands on behalf of my ancestors and my current existing breathing kindred. Once they understand that part, once we understand that part, it's over with for their ass. It's over with it. We keeping them in power. You vote for a slave master? What you want a different slave master? What you voting for? The vote is what legitimizes the bullshit. We didn't know that when we decided to participate in the vote. We thought the vote was a way to give us collective power. That was a trick the whole time. We were never supposed to be in their polls. How do you get a guy to do something? Tell him he can't fucking do it. Nigga, you can't vote. Watch me. Watch me. I'm gonna vote. I'm dropping me about it. Tell me I can't fucking vote. You wasn't not supposed to be voting because it had nothing to do with you. 13 colonies that had nothing to do with the tribes. That was all some European shit to exile some undesirables. It just so happened that a lot of the motherfuckers that was doing the exiling and being exiled look like us, but they ain't us. Temperament is different. Character is different. Belief system is different. The way they move and operate is different. And you see them, but because they got chocolate brown to caramel brown skin and kinky to curly hair, you thinking that's your brother man. That's the other man. But they got us believing that the pale face is the enemy, and all the pale face needed was a drop of blood and the right to sin, and he was gonna fight for whoever he got the drop of blood from. So then they brought him over here, put him over the family farm as managers, right? But the nigga that was running the plantation, that this what was it, Samuel L. Jackson played in Django? Yeah, was that Samuel L.? Yeah, Uncle Sam from the Super Bowl. That nigga was the one who poisoned Big Mama and took over the big house. Took her name off the house. Took her name off the deed. Took her name off the deed. And then he applied a mortgage. Then the mortgage became known as a sharecropper agreement. A debt pledge. A mortgage means a debt pledge, a debt oath, right? A death oath. The death oath was the oath to kill Big Mama so you can take her name off the property so that you could sell it, because we don't believe in selling land. They told us the family farm was the plantation. That's why Harriet Tubman couldn't get people to leave their family farm, because their ancestors been there for so long. Bitch, you not getting me to leave here. Who the fuck is you anyway? Oh, made up ass character. Right? But they want to give her credit for being an abolitionist. Look, if you go and you do your research on Nat Turner, some serious research. I love the character Nat Turner, by the way. Don't get me wrong. Nat Turner is a code for Henry McNeil Turner, rightful heir to make agreements with them people. And it was his heir, Empress Verdiosity, related to him. We related to him out of Mississippi. The Alabama Tuscaloosa Indians is related to him. The Washita, D-Dunk, the mound builders. That's all of us. The Mississippians, the Alabama Indians, the Tuscaloosa Indians, the Arkansas Razorback Indians. Y'all don't even know a lot of these mascots. They was tribes or references that somebody gave the tribe, but with exonyms. But they talking about a group of people, and they putting the mascot on the territory to show you where these people supposed to be at. The Brown family, the one of the largest clans on the land, last name Brown, old Mississippian clan, old Alabama clan, old Arkansas clan, old Georgia clan, Browns. They the biggest clan, one of the biggest clans in the whole entire United States, and they Cleveland Indians. They fucking Cleveland Indians. Cleveland is a play on the word cleaver, which was the reference to a tomahawk. The Brown family is Cleveland Indians. The Ohio territory of the Midwest going into Indiana going into Tennessee and Kentucky. That's where they naturally, organically from. The Brown family, right? Some of us, Big Mama stayed in Mississippi when her children was going to settle that territory. So you got a direct line from Mississippi all the way up into what they call the Northwest Territory in the Tennessee, Kentucky, in Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, and all the way going into Louisiana. The Browns, that's one of the biggest fucking clans on the land. If you look into any of the old phone books and the last name Brown and you keep flipping page after page, that's a whole fucking clan. They, they don't all just share the last name as a recreational activity. Like they didn't have nothing to do but look and say, oh, my skin copper brown, so I'm going to be a Brown. That's not how that worked. The foreigners called them the Browns because they was brown skinned. And they showed you in the Cleveland Indian football original picture what they looked it like. I'm just telling you, right? You got another clan. Look, you got a last name, Upshaw. That's the Upper Shoshone clan. And then you have the last name Shaw. The last name Shaw is Shoshone. They don't tell us this because we've been paper genocided. They deliberately changed how we wrote our names. They come from the Shoshone River region, a branch of the Mississippi. Go look that shit up. Don't believe me. All of the information there. We got mounds to commemorate all of these people I'm talking about. Right? The Taylor clan came from New Orleans. The guy they call used to be what's they call him? Dapper Dan. Dapper Dan is, he might have a different name, but his bloodline traced back to the Taylors out of Louisiana. What did they do? They made tribal regalia. They invented denim jeans because they didn't want us wearing sackcloth for jeans. They created denim. The Levi Strauss Company is the company. The last name Levi is the invader's last name. They Jews. The tribe of Levi. If you go into the law, it's not called Levi, it's called Levi. To levy a lien. And the Levi Strauss Company learned from the tailors how to sew the denim because you needed a special sewing machine back then to sew denim because the denim ain't that shit we wearing now. It took you damn near a year to break them motherfuckers in, and you had to wear them damn near every day and wash them at least every other day. You be able to do so much. They was damn near bulletproof just being cotton denim, original denim. They still got old ass Levi Strauss jeans in museums, and they look damn near new. They got that from New Orleans. New Orleans used to dress the cowboys. Back then, they didn't call them cowboys. That's a settler's term to diminish the manhood of the cattle hands. They start calling pale faces cattle hands, and they start calling our cattle rustlers, which actually started off as tribes that lived with the bison, tribes that lived with the elk, right? Tribes that lived with the reindeer. Those were who became the ranchers of the bovine beef that was being brought over here from the settlers. I mean, shit. The shit is all in front of our face, but it's hidden in plain sight because we so used to seeing what we seeing, and them telling us we don't see what we see, we begin to make the misconnection of the thing that we think we see to the thing they told us we looking at. What? No goddamn cows over here in 1491. We ain't need no cows. We didn't need no cattle ranches. We used to harvest bison as needed, not in mass. They came over here and started harvesting them in mass because we was using them as war cover, right? In the Flintstones. Flintstone Indians go trace right back here to Michigan to the city of Flint. The Flintstones, them, I know them dudes. I sat with Flintstone. I sat with the Saginaw Indians. We was locked up together with their chiefs, and they know who the fuck I am. Soaring Eagle Casino, a usurper came in and tried to usurp us. You know what we did? Start marrying their daughters. They ain't like that shit up in Battle Creek. They try to tell us, I'm not going to that. That's dogmatic bullshit. But it's called Battle Creek for a reason, right? Just like the Rouge River is known as the Red River because Rouge mean red in French, and Dortois. Dortois is Detroit. In the Detroit territory, the French was fighting Chief Pontiac, whose bullshit I inherited.